Hey everybody, welcome to a Tuesday edition of Box Seats. I'm your host, Frank Holder. I'm here with comedians known as Fig, Talent, and Rodney Perry has even joined us for this early edition. First of all, say that these comedians have been in the game for a long time. They've been in comedy films, TV shows, film festivals, commercials, everything. I mean, these guys are stars, and they decided they want to join us for what we call a comedy sports talk show called The Box Seats. Gentlemen, how you doing today? How's everything?
All good over here, baby.
Nice.
Yeah, man, we're doing what we do.
All right, let's get ready to jump into the COVID report minute. The COVID report is really interesting today because I've just discovered that this morning that there are talks for people want to boycott the Olympics because of safety reasons for the way the Olympics is going to handle the teams that are going to be coming in and, you know, basically getting themselves camped up for the Olympics. So, Talent, I'm going to start with you and say, do you honestly think, in your opinion, that we should have the Olympics this year, even though things are opening up worldwide? What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think why not? I mean, we're all the way out the gate now. Why not? Like, you know, it doesn't look like, it looks like basically we're a couple of months away from being some sort of normality. You know, looking at the numbers they want to be at with vaccinations, and at least now we have more people fully vaccinated than we do with COVID cases. So we have surpassed that by millions of people. So you fast forward another, 3-4 months, I think, you know, it's about as safe as it's going to get this year. So I say, why not?
Okay. All right, Fig, I'm gonna ask you the same question, bro. Like now that you see how things are going right now, everybody's opening up. The virus is still here, but you know things are opening up. What do you think the Olympics should do? Even though the Olympic Committee right now is taking a whole lot of heat with the boycotts from the teams. What do you think?
Well, personally, I'm not going. I have decided to forego my Olympic, trip. I'm not going to participate in any of the events, and I don't like the way it's going, and I don't think that they should do it. They're not going. I don't like the way the committee is handling stuff, so I'm personally not going. And I think it's a dangerous situation because this virus is still out here, and you got people coming from different countries all over the place, and it just seems like an accident waiting to happen.
Okay, Rodney. Unlike Fig, he said he ain't going, and he didn't. I don't know if he got the memo. The Japanese ain't letting him in anyway. But because they're not letting. All jokes aside, they're not letting in outside people anyway. If you're not, you know, no fans allowed who are not within the country. No fans allowed. So what you think, Rodney?
Well, of course, I've been reading about this, keeping up with it. They call it the hot shoe protocols, and so once you start to add these protocols in place, you have to really embrace the full hot shoeness of it. Understand, and I'm with Fig in terms of not going because Fig and I both made the Olympic team in the hot dog eating contest, and sometimes you just got to sit out because it's just better for the world.
Yeah. Well, let's continue on with the conversation because these dudes, as you all know, they're comedians. They're gonna keep it covered.
Don't explain us,
huh?
No.
They're not even invited.
Yeah, that's the end of the day.
First of all, Talent, don't be jealous, okay?
Right. Listen, for those of y'all that don't know, I had been practicing up on my curling, not just my hair. And I was going to enter the event in the curling event. I've been practicing at home with my mop, and I got my curling down.
I don't think you move from that chair because there's no way to get the exact same spot every show. No way. I don't even think
he's never. Sometimes he's way over here.
In other news, the NCAA tournament is getting ready to kick off. What people not seem to be talking about is that the selection committee is happening on the 14th. But I think everybody seems to be forgetting, part of the COVID report is that all the games, usually, you know, the tournament happens all across the country. All the games are going to be played in Indy. And they're trying to keep a handle on the grip on all the teams playing in one spot. I'm not sure if that's going to necessarily keep COVID out because the people are going to still come out, go out, interact. Talent, I don't know. What do you think when you hear that all 68 teams, 64 teams are going to be playing in the tournament, all in Indianapolis in somewhat of a bubble? What's your thought process?
Well, first of all, that's a new meaning for March Madness. That's madness, all in one place. But I do believe this, though. I think that you're only going to be able to keep out the excess fandom. There's a lot of people that travel to support their family and that play. So if you got 60 some odd teams, you're going to have 60 some odd times 12 or 15, whatever's on the roster, family members. And sometimes that fluctuates from just mom and dad to the uncles, to the aunts, to the cousins. So collectively, it's still going to be a big crowd.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be a big crowd. I think it could be a super spreader too. But, what you think, Fig?
Indianapolis seems like a decent place to go. I'm just concerned with what the weather is going to be because it's not in the summer. It said God didn't make little green apples and it don't rain in Indianapolis in the summertime. So if this was in the summertime, you wouldn't have to worry about the rain. But COVID, you definitely have to worry about.
Okay. Rodney Perry, what's your thought process?
Well, first of all, let's not ignore the elephant in the room. Talent just wiped his nose on live commentary, and I'm not comfortable with it. And we talking about COVID, and he's snorting and
look.
And
Rodney, first of all, Rodney, that's cocaine. That's cocaine.
But all jokes aside, I think that it's just like we said in the last report that we seem to be getting a handle on this, and this will probably be the last big bubble. It's a lot, but it's a win if you lose this year. You can get your ass out of there.
Yeah, that's fair to say. Now let's talk
first
about.
of all, he wanted an explanation about my cocaine habit. I explained that. I put that on the record. Can I have an explanation about the green apples in Indianapolis in the winter? Can somebody kind of break that down?
Nobody.
That was a song back in the day. That's before your time, son. You're a little too young for that one.
Oh, it's a song.
Yes, sir.
So the writer's dead, correct?
No, he's still. I think so.
He had to think about it. All right, I got my explanation. Sorry, Frank.
All right. Let's keep the show rocking and rolling. Before we talk about this Dak Prescott thing, let me just throw this out there. Coach Les Miles, he had to depart Kansas football from a sexual harassment allegation that was made to him, and according to the reports, it was mutual. Now, Talent, we've had this conversation a couple weeks ago about sexual harassment. What is your thoughts right now when you hear what the sexual harassment was? He kissed a student, and the student kissed him back twice. When he had to part his job and left his job for that, man. When you hear that, I think the lines are blurred now what sexual harassment is. I'm not even trying to joke about it. I don't even know what sexual harassment is. If the student kissed him and he kissed her back, what the hell is sexual harassment? I'm at a loss. Maybe you can help clear it up for me.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of jobs have a criteria for sexual harassment, and some of it is just fraternizing. Some jobs do not want you fraternizing with students, with coworkers. Depending on the job you at, it varies. This probably is in their criteria as considered sexual harassment. But again, Frank, since the movement got real big, nobody knows what sexual harassment really is supposed to be now. Now I think it's a crutch. I think it's a thing that when I'm uncomfortable or I wanted to stop, I can take this label to HR, if you will, or personnel, or whoever's that department I report to, and get it rectified. I think that nobody really has a stone cold hit on it of what it is. I think, but the moment you get to the point where you want whatever it is to stop, or you feel uncomfortable, or your feelings are hurt, because I know people who has lost their job who have relationships with coworkers, but then they fell out of the relationship, maybe dated another coworker, and this one's upset and brings it to HR, and that person loses their job. I've seen it.
Now, I believe you on that, but I'm going to just throw this out there to you, and I'm going to throw it out to everybody else too when we go back around to say this. She kissed him twice. So the first time I could understand sexual harassment, but she kissed him again. So I don't know. What's your thoughts? I don't know, man. Let me throw it to Fig. Fig, what's your thoughts?
I have no idea what sexual harassment is. I know back in the day we used to have a joke that sexual harassment is if you like a girl and you tell her that you like her and you ugly, she could say it's sexual harassment. But if you like a girl and you tell her that you like her and you want to be with her and stuff like that, and you consider it sexy or fine, then it's no longer sexual harassment, and that's pretty much what I think it is. Listen. The women are in charge when it comes to sexual harassment, and the men have absolutely nothing to say about it. We have no idea what it is, and we're waiting for them to explain it to us. But it's on a case by case basis. They explain it to you as it happens.
Rodney Perry, is it because he was older and she's young? Is it because he's in his 60s and she's what, anywhere between 19 and 22? Is that what it is?
Here goes, guys. And it always amazes me how far y'all are off the mark on this. All three of y'all. So here goes.
I just asked the question. I didn't see you say
that. Frank, you implied see how you don't get it. And I'm trying to help you. So here goes. I taught sexual harassment when I was in the Navy. It's very cut and dry. Every company has a policy, and he obviously broke it. You can't be tonguing down students. Period. You can't kiss a student. Period. Your position is what's in question. It's not how old he is or is she grown. Your position is the problem, right? If you're a supervisor and a woman or whoever is under you, because it can be male to male harassment, right? Mm-hmm. And so if that person is under you and it's anything sexual, you're subject to sexual harassment. It's very clean, guys.
I don't know. I don't agree with it.
Hold on. Wait, can I say something?
Hold on 1 second, Fig. It's not that clean and dry because of the fact that the fluctuation level of what the person who actually says this harassment, how the leadway is too much. It's not clean and dry. And I don't believe in, hold on. And I don't believe in just because I'm the supervisor and they're the worker, that makes it sexual harassment, because you're a woman and I'm a man, or vice versa. If people like each other, that should be it. That should be it.
I think what's going on here is, talent, that you're missing out on key words. Rodney said he taught this, and the thing that's very upsetting to me is the fact that he taught it and used certain phrases. He said it depends on what position that you're in for it to be sexual harassment, and that if the woman is under you. So what I'm trying to gather from it, maybe
that's good. That was good. That's pretty good.
Maybe if it was a different position and she wasn't literally under you, then maybe it wouldn't be sexual harassment. Like, maybe if you didn't do missionary and you went with the whole doggy style, maybe that wouldn't be considered sexual harassment, because she wouldn't be under you, Rodney, and it is a different position.
But Rodney, I totally get what you're saying. I just never agreed with that. People say that all the time, and I just think that's so unfair, just as human beings, if people, because their gender and position, and I don't really get that. I mean, I don't agree with that. I get what they're trying to say.
It goes both ways. It goes both ways. And let's take the joke Fig just did, right? It's no problem with the joke until you say missionary, right? Then it becomes harassment. Like, it's little stuff like that that makes a difference. Like, you as long as it's innuendo, it's fine. And know this, it's verbal, it's physical. I'm telling y'all, if you're gonna be in or around the workplace with women, with people, know that you gotta watch how you behave. Period.
I'm
going to very clean. You don't have to like it. Hold on. Let me finish. You don't have to like it, but if you're gonna be kissing chicks at work, you might catch a L.
I have a question. Serious question. I have a serious question. Tell me what's wrong with missionary position. I'm that's a serious question, Rodney.
That's when it became sexual.
Yeah. The joke was innuendo.
So it's little stuff like that that'll drift you into that little area. You be like, but we was joking. We was all kidding. And then you, once they send a letter, it's a wrap.
Mhm.
Well, I tell you one thing. I'm going to jail.
Hey,
Okay,
Because
well,
I'm telling y'all, dude.
I'm
what was
not
this?
conforming to that.
Look,
I know what it is.
I talked to tons of guys on this subject, man, and it seems great to us because you're a guy, but it's not great to women. Women are like, yo, this is messed up. Yeah, I kissed him back because I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know what to do. And
It's
then
bullshit. It's bullshit.
So what? It doesn't
It's
matter if
bullshit.
it's bullshit
Yeah,
to
you
you.
know, I'll say this. I
It doesn't matter, fellas.
I understand 100% what Rodney's saying. I just get confused when the woman kisses him back the second time. That's why I got confused. The
Who
first
said
time,
she kissed him back?
huh? What'd you say?
Who said that?
She said it. She said she kissed him twice. In the report. It's in the report. She said she kissed him twice. So that's why I said I'm confused. The first time I understand the power dynamic. You know what I mean? I get that. The power dynamic, he probably came on to her and she probably was like, well, but then if he came on to her the second time and did that.
Well, how about this, Frank? Bill Cosby is currently in jail. In jail, right? And most of those relationships were consensual. It's women that went out with him multiple times, and he is in jail. I'm telling y'all, we have a unique situation because we're comedians, and it's always social. But if you're in corporate America, you have to be paying attention to this stuff. If you work for a corporation, a football team, a baseball team, a basketball team, and you in there doing anything remotely close, it don't have to be exact. Now they're going to jail. He's going to jail. He's going to jail.
Hey man, I don't see. Hey Rodney, the one thing I don't have to worry about is that. But I understand exactly what you're saying. I'm not going to be involved with no woman, but I understand the student teacher dynamic. Another woman other than my wife. Let's clear that up. There we go.
I was gonna say this.
I understand the teacher student dynamic though. That seems like a little taboo to me too. I don't
I'll
care
say
what
this.
happens.
Let me give
Before we move
y'all.
on.
I'm sorry, Frank. One more second. But let me give y'all this food for thought. Imagine you're at work and your supervisor is a guy and he happens to be gay, right? And he's like, yo, Tally, man, you nigga that hat though, man, nigga that hat, nigga, and tap you on the ass. That's harassment. That's harassment.
Yeah.
Put yourself in their shoes.
Cut it out. Come on, man. Come on.
You got to put yourself in a woman's shoes, man.
No. I understand. Now, here's my thing, though. My thing is this. What's fair is fair. I know rules are changing every day as we go on, but what's fair is fair. Understand what I'm saying? Corporate America, I get it. Whenever you work for any corporation, they got their own rules, and if you accept that job, you are agreeing to abide by those rules, and that's cut and fact. I get it. I agree with the power struggle? No, but I get it.
All right, let's move on. Enough about that because we could talk about that for a whole hour because sexual harassment is really huge. Let me talk about the big dog in the room right now is probably something that we all saw yesterday and it came on. It was my man Dak Prescott signed a ridiculous contract, 4 years, $160 million, $66 million on the signing bonus, highest in the NFL history. He gets $75 million due year one. This dude was the 4th round draft pick. He got 7 seasons with 400 plus yards. Now I'm going to ask you, Talent. All that stats came out. Now, is Dak Prescott now under a lot of pressure to deliver a Super Bowl to the Dallas Cowboys, or what's your thoughts?
No, I think more of us are looking at this like a way overdue, a just do situation, and not. I think had it got done in its proper time, that pressure would have been on him for the last 2 seasons. But I think now, because of the saga that we all been dragged through watching this, and then the sympathy and empathy of the injury, no.
No. Okay. Let me ask Fig. Fig, what you think? Is the pressure on Dak Prescott now to deliver a huge contract?
No, I think the pressure is on Dak to keep performing like he's been throughout his first 5 years because in football, you cannot dominate a game as an individual like you can as a basketball player. The defense has to do its end, and so does the offensive line. That's the one thing. Although the quarterback is the most important piece on a football team in order for it to be successful, it is dependent on other positions to do what it has to do in order for you to be successful. Case in point, we all, and it's universally said pretty much, that Patrick Mahomes is most likely the best quarterback in the NFL talent-wise. But we saw what happened to him in the Super Bowl when he didn't have the offense, like when most of his offensive line was injured. We saw him running for his life, and he could not be as effective as he was before because he didn't have the pieces to be able to assist him to operate at his full potential. So to put that on Dak Prescott, I don't think so.
Rodney Perry, what's your thoughts?
I mean, is it going to be pressure? I mean, you know, those guys live in a excuse me, they live in a pressure cage. So I think the pressure is always going to be there. But here goes, the organization finally came and stepped up to the plate. You know, so what do we find out why Dak has been hurt this time? We found out how important Dak Prescott is to that organization. Like that he's a real team leader, and that matters. It's not Ezekiel Elliott, it's Dak. And I think we know that now, and that's why he got the pay that he got.
All right, so talent for Black America, was this a Black issue or was it just about money? You know what I mean? Because we all have been saying for weeks that Jerry Jones should have signed him, and he's not signing him because he's Black and treating the Black man. We've talked about that for weeks, but now Jerry Jones made him the highest paid player in the NFL. Matter of fact, NFL history with the shortest time. He got $75 million. He got a guaranteed contract. He got a no tag contract. He got a no trade. He got everything. Matter of fact, his contract is so good. It's so phenomenal that even the other NFL players are saying, damn, he got a good contract. So the question now is, I'm gonna ask this question for white America. I'm asking this for them who might be watching.
Well, I think it started off a money thing, and it started a money thing, but it ended up being a Black thing because the simple fact that it's funny how things go full circle. You know, I'm gonna do what I always do with my top Black players. Start off Black, then it's the money thing. We're gonna haggle out. Then it comes back to the climate of being Black again, because let's face it, Texas needs some good news right now. Yes, Texas is under fire for the Black thing because we're dealing with another Texas team that is shining light on his team and situation that's making Black people and players go, wait a minute, man, what's up with Texas? So this is what we call in the nick of time. You know, sometimes the stars align to make you look good. And Jerry, we know Jerry's not a fool. You know, we just know that he's good old boy. He's one of the last Mohicans that. And he sees an opportunity, and those advisors and those agents and those money people and accountants was like, now's the time. And they're right. This is the time. Who looks better in Texas than Dallas right now signing Dak to this big contract?
I agree with that part. Fig, for white America, was it a Black issue or was it just a business issue that was going on? I'm asking that question because white America is going to want to know.
Okay, I'll put it to you this way. We had as Black Americans, we had our suspicions because Dak is a Black quarterback and he's played up to his potential. His predecessor never did as good as he did, and he was the highest paid player quarterback in the NFL, being Tony Romo right before Dak. So we had our suspicions. Does this erase all of the suspicions? Absolutely not, because now the question is the way the contract was structured and the way Jerry put it together, it really is not a big salary cap hit to the Dallas Cowboy organization. So since Jerry is the mastermind of manipulating the salary cap, why didn't he do this before? Because Dak's first contract, his first 5 years as a rookie, he made under $2 million a year. 1 year, I think his second year, his first year was like 1.2, his second year was 9, so on, so on, so on. To come up to a grand total of, in 5 years, Dak Prescott made, I believe, just under $7 million. And clearly, he outperformed that. So the question still remains, why now? And why didn't Jerry do it before? Because Dak hadn't done anything different because he's been injured, and his record and everything that he did is still the same.
Well, Fig, just to say this before I move on to writing, just to say this, it could be considered a good business move or a good business strategy by one of the best businessmen in the world. That's what people could say. I'm gonna throw the question to you, Mr. Rodney Perry. I'm gonna ask you. Black America's made some statements over the past 2 years, and Black America thought it was a black-white issue. I'm gonna ask you, Rodney Perry. Is it a black issue? Was it a black issue, or was it just the best business decision made that did ultimately work out for the Dallas Cowboys anyway? Because they paid Dak now the richest contract in NFL history. What's your thoughts?
Well, race always matters. I mean, this is America, a country built on race and race relations. The fact that race even exists is because of America. So, so you unpack Dak Prescott. You say, well, you know, I don't. Jerry Jones has always shown love to black players. Even an aging black player could get a job in the Dallas organization. We've seen that over the years, right? And so, but when it comes time, that coveted quarterback position, then it's hesitation. Then it's balking. Then it's let's make sure. So is that race? Maybe. Is that race? Probably. See, that quarterback position is very important. He's looked at as the mental leader of the team. And maybe you don't believe that. And then that goes down. And then the team falls apart. And you go, well, maybe Dak is our guy. We might want to pay him now, because if we don't pay him, we're going to pay another black dude.
Right.
So is it race? Well, white America, always.
All right,
always race.
All right, let me just kick back this and say this. At the time when Tony Romo got his contract, Tony Romo was the richest paid quarterback at the time. You know what I mean? Even though he definitely didn't deserve it. So now you fast forward, and then of course on Jerry Jones's sheet of history, he went through the same thing with Emmitt Smith.
I wouldn't say Tony Romo did deserve it for the players at that time, and he was a top tier player, and they went to the playoffs. I mean, it's other
Tony
factors.
Romo,
You can't say he don't deserve it.
He did not deserve the richest contract as a quarterback in the league at that time.
If you're Dallas,
huh?
You play you're Dallas. You're America's team. Your guy makes the most money.
But Dallas, under his reign, under his QB reign, Dallas did not win a playoff game. Tony Romo didn't win anything, and he got paid at that time the richest QB contract at that time. Now you fast forward again. That's why I said, let me throw it out there to you guys and ask you guys this question, because now we circle back again, the same thing. And now what did Jerry Jones did again? He paid another QB who hasn't won him a playoff. I don't think he won a playoff game. I'll double check. But he didn't win him the Super Bowl. No, he won a playoff game. He didn't win him a Super Bowl, but he gave him the richest paid contract in the league. He's paid more right now in the shorter term than Patrick Mahomes. He got more of a signing bonus than anybody, Tom Brady, anybody, and he hasn't won anything. So white America could literally kick back and say, this ain't no black-white issue. It's a business issue. That's all I'm saying. I'm trying to be
You're right, Frank. You're absolutely right. But what it is Jerry manipulated the numbers. When you take the salary and you put it in a signing bonus, then what you do is you alleviate money in the actual salary cap so you can go and get more players. And that was always the excuse as why you didn't want to pay Dak $40 million a year, because it's going to be such a major hit to the salary cap. But what we're saying is Jerry, being the mastermind that he is, he already knew that and knew how to manipulate the salary cap to do exactly what he did. Now he could have did it earlier in Dak's career. Like I said, over the 5 years, Dak made under $7 million. For the entire 5 years.
But he was in a rookie contract. That's just how. That's how
in order to alleviate that and be able to manipulate the monies, what you do, what has happened to other players is you sign them, you redo their contract while they're still on their rookie contract, and over the course of the time, you give them the money that they deserve, but you don't get a big salary cap hit, and it doesn't look like he's making $40 million. He really could have got paid more like between 32 to 35 million had Jerry done it earlier. but he chose not to,
Okay,
and that's
Big,
when he got his discount.
I got to interrupt you and say this. I got to interrupt you and say this. If you're Jerry Jones and you're making all that money and you're negotiating and you're paying, matter of fact, if you own the Dallas Cowboys and you sitting there right now, it's you, right? And you think in your mind you can get a contract with Dak Prescott. That's the whole thing that you're not saying. You think in your mind you can get it because you're sitting there saying what you're saying now, knowing what had happened. You don't know what's going to happen. So you sitting there right now, you think in your mind, Dak Prescott is a fourth round pick. You're thinking in your mind that you're going to make him an offer and he's going to accept it. That's the part I don't think that you need to say. You're saying, Talon, what you think? I mean, throw this out. Tell me something, Talon. Am I off thinking this? Because I'm throwing it out there saying, Talon, I can't hear you.
Here's the thing. What we got to understand is this. This is not a mastermind move. This is a move that's been made for decades. Once agents and players got together and got smart and said, hey, we're getting broken up. We have no guaranteed money. Decades ago, they came up with, you know what? We're going to apply this signing bonus thing so you guys can walk away with some chunk guaranteed money. This is not a mastermind play. Jerry Jones gambled, and we all know he was gambling. We've been talking about it for almost 3 years. He's been gambling, waiting to see if things align in the way that favors him. And they did not. And then you left it in the court of public opinion, which is always dangerous for the opposite of the entity, meaning us as artists, him as an athlete going against the machine. If it gets in the face of public opinion, you're going to lose, and you're going to blink first. That's what happened to Jerry Jones. Across the street at another Texan team, there's a lot of racial brews being stirred up in that pot. And you don't want to be caught up in that Texas mix right now. I want to be America's team. I want to remain America's team. I know what will make the people happy. Of course, my quarterback's going to be happy, but the people are going to now get their eye and notion off of me as being good old boys, racist. This is nothing crazy. This is just he lost the gamble. Basically, he lost the gamble and had to end up giving his guy what he needed and what he wanted. That's it. It's no mastermind thing that he thought about 5 years ago. I'm going to do this and I'm going to pay. No, trust me. Jerry Jones, when it comes to his black players, has always been cheap, always problematic, always dragging out the situation. That's a fact. That's not me playing around and guessing. That's a fact.
Yeah, and you know what? No, going on the facts, he's 0-3 because what happened with Emmitt Smith? What happened with the wide receiver Des Bryant? What happened now with Dak? We can continue on. Fig, you want to say a last word before we move on? Or Rodney?
No, it's just the thing is that in the history of the NFL, when an organization believes in the quarterback, the history has been you renegotiate during his rookie contract. If you think of all of the top quarterbacks now, where the organization believed in them, they renegotiated before they finished out their rookie contract. All of them. He's the only one.
I'm not denying that at all. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying, as a businessman who thinks that you the best businessman. Notice I said this. Who thinks he's the best businessman in the NFL? That's what happens. If you're him, if you're sitting there in his seat and you're thinking,
right,
I got $1 billion. The Dallas Cowboys is worth more than anything in the NFL. They're the most valued NFL team. So you thinking that, okay, I did this, I built this, I could get these dudes to sign this contract. That's all.
The king thing you said, Frank, that hit the nail on the head was you said, and you can't tell me people don't think this. If I got a fourth rounder, Frank is right. I'm thinking I got one up on him. He's gonna. Yeah. It's like the thirsty guy in the room. The thirsty guy is gonna sign right away. Yeah. He's thirsty.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why he went out and got a shot for an agent, and that's when the money changed. When he got the big agent.
Exactly. And his agent now needs to get kudos. Let's continue on moving on this conversation because I want to ask you all now. I'm going to throw it out to Rodney Pray first since we ain't heard from him. Rodney, does this change anything with Seattle before we talk about the NBA? Because I want to get this last thing in. Does this change anything with Seattle? Because Seattle, now one of his teams is crossed off. The Cowboys is out there. So now it's looking really good like Chicago because the other two teams don't really have a lot. So does it look like Chicago's really now going to land Russell Wilson?
I mean, the bigger question is, does Russell Wilson really want out of Seattle? And if he wants out of Seattle, there's no reason for him not to go to the Bears and for them to give him some power and some decision making that he wants. But does he really want out? I mean, I'm not sure about that. We thought Dak wanted out, and Dak didn't really want out. I never felt like Dak was gonna leave Dallas. And so now you take, you got Russell Wentz, Carson Wentz, who made a move. You got a Dak staying put, and now Russell Wilson is going, okay, do I really feel like moving? Do I want to, uproot my family and go to another city, a cold ass city? Maybe.
Let me ask you this, Talent Man. What you think? Because what he said is true. Dak did not want to leave. Dak was from Dallas. He didn't want to leave Dallas. What you think, Talent?
Yeah, but the Russell situation, he said, "Do I want to leave and go to a cold ass city? You want to stay in that wet ass city? it ain't like a big trade. You either sleepless in Seattle
or freezing in Chicago
or freezing in Milwaukee." Here's my thing. I think that Russell, I said the same thing Rodney said last couple of shows. I don't think he's trying to go nowhere. I think that this is to get the organization. Let's face it. We said this about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I think Fig brought it up. And Fig, it was like, I'm dumb happy that the players are exercising their power finally. And it's much to do with the climate and equality, right? So I think this is another using my muscle, speaking out of what I want to change about this team going forward, and seeing if my muscle is what my muscle is supposed to be. And I'm going to make it look like, yo, this or the highway, I'm out. But I really think in the heart of hearts that he is the team. And that's one of those teams I don't see them ready to rebuild and get rid of Russell, because that's what it would be if you get rid of Russell. I think you hear him out, you place those pieces in effect, you give him some respect. And a lot of these guys, and it's not that big, Frank, guys that already got their contracts, they're talking about a phone call. They're talking about calling him, "Hey, Russell, we got such and such linebacker from such and such, man. What do you think about?" "Oh, you know what? I like dude. Dude been doing this thing, whatever." That's all I think a lot of these guys really want. They've been living their lives without that their whole life. I think that makes a big difference. I know it does to me when somebody calls and go, "Hey, what do you think? Can you work you work with Rodney Perry? We want to add him to the show." I'd be like, hell fucking no. But I respect that they called me and included me in that decision.
I think. What you think?
I think Talent would work with Rodney Perry, because Rodney Perry is a nice guy, and
I love Rodney Perry,
and he's lovable. No, and you know what? Talent hit the nail on the head. I think it's the climate that we're in, as far as these quarterbacks or these players really feeling like, you know what, I want to be an integral part of the organization that I work for, and I would like to give my input. You know what I mean? Instead of always letting the coaches and the GMs make the decision without my input, because at the end of the day, when the team loses, nobody really looks at the GM and nobody really looks at the coach. They don't look at the coach until the end. They always put it on the player. So why doesn't the player get a little bit of input, especially if you're the most important player on your organization's team, like the Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott? You should have a little bit. I'm not saying you should have all of the power to say who comes, who goes, but you should at least, your input should be very important, because the greatest players usually know what they need to be able to get over the hump, a la LeBron James.
Well, let me just say this: the QB in the NFL, the QB gets all the accolades and the QB gets all the blame, win or lose. That's how the game goes. Let's talk about the NBA.
Until you win a Super Bowl, Frank. When you win a Super Bowl, then the coach get a little bit.
Yeah, but let's talk about the NBA. I want to, before we start talking about a couple of NBA things, let me just say this. I saw this news this morning. I didn't see it anywhere on the ESPN and anything else, which is pretty shocking. But the judge ordered to unseal the names of the deputies who allegedly shared the Kobe Bryant crash scene photos. That was pretty huge to me. I want to say kudos to Vanessa Bryant for at least pushing forward to that, because I think in the future that'll make some people say you think twice, especially people in those positions, before they start doing that type of stuff. Talent. Before we talk about the NBA, what's your thought real fast on that?
I think it's again, kudos to Vanessa. Now, see, that's something that I can applaud her going after. Not so much the Meek Mills and the the frivolous things that really have nothing to do with life in itself. That's rap, hip hop, cartoon stuff. Don't bother yourself with that stuff. Do real life stuff. This is difference making stuff. This is, losing a loved one of some stature, and people who are supposed to be the most professional to help you get through this thing and figure out A to Z what actually happened. Like, oh my God, let's leak these photos or let's make money off these photos. That's inhumane. You know what I mean? That's lacking respect as a human being for another person and their family and their loved ones. So that I applaud her for. I'm glad that they said, hey, it's almost like the court said they snitched. They said, here go the names.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now we get to go after them. You know what I mean?
Right. Fig, I think this opens up the door for Vanessa Bryant to even file lawsuits against each and every one of them individually. So what's your thoughts?
I think number one, you took the words right out of my mouth, Frank. I think it opens up the door for her to sue them, to bring a lawsuit against them for doing that. I don't even think, well, clearly it wouldn't be because of money, because she doesn't need money, but just the principle that you would do something like that, you know what I mean? Because Kobe Bryant was such a beloved, iconic figure that you would do something like that. And last but not least, I am not in the cancel culture, but this goes beyond the scope of your duties as an official, as an officer, and whoever was responsible for leaking those photos needs to be fired immediately, because that compromises, the job that you have and the trust that the community that you're supposed to serve has in you. That compromises that, and you need to be released immediately.
So, Rodney Perry, do you agree with Fig? Because honestly, firing is a little bit harsh. I think if you tap into some of that pension, that'll really hurt. But firing, I don't know. I don't know. What's your thoughts, Rodney? What you think, man? Can't hear you, Rodney. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Yeah. Can I hear Rodney Perry? Can I hear Rodney Perry? Rodney. All right, I'm gonna have to come back to Rodney Perry. We still can't hear Rodney. He's gonna come back in. So let me move on. And this
I think when I said about not booking him on the show, they cut his mic too. I was just playing. Whoever's listening, whoever's out there listening, I was playing. Rodney, there he is.
Rodney, can we hear you now? Let's see.
Yeah, check.
Yeah, there you go. Go ahead. What you think, Rodney?
God dang it. It's Los Angeles. There's a culture of leaking things all the time, crime scene photos, this, that, and it's becoming like a given that it's going to happen. And so I like seeing people kind of fight back on this a little bit. I don't think it's going to change a whole lot. The way people move and shake, people are still going to leak stuff. And, but I think more than helping Vanessa Bryant is going to help the rest of those people that was involved in it that maybe aren't as well off as she is to maybe get some more funds.
Right. If Vanessa wants to make a serious dent, she should sue TMZ, because TMZ is the one who made it out. I know how it is in LA, man. TMZ pays top dollar for anybody who sends them anything. That's the biggest thing, and that's what starts the trickle effect of people rushing to get something to TMZ. So they get.
But they didn't post it though, did they?
Huh?
Did they post it?
Yeah, they posted it. That's how it got. That's how everybody saw the pictures of the fire, of the crash, because TMZ posted it first. Then it went everywhere, all in the news, and the pictures of what we saw had to be from somebody in the police. That's how they busted them. Had to be, because it was so up close and personal. It wasn't like from the news, just looking down and everything else. The pictures of the crash, bro, it was definitely the police or the ambulance. It was definitely.
How do you trust somebody like that? Like we're you're supposed to protect and serve. Where's the trust of the kid? Because listen, we already have our suspicions. The general public already has its suspicions about the police anyway. Why would you do something like, why are they allowed to get away with doing stuff like that on top of all of the other things? It's like, the thing is, it's like the police seem to be above the law, and there has to be some kind of, it got to be something, some kind of punishment.
Well, yeah, punishment, but it's not allowed. Let's just say that it's not allowed. It's frowned upon, and they're trying to stop firing people and taking pensions. Let's move on real fast because a couple of things I want to jump forward and say this. I heard this morning, through the grapevine and through a couple of my sources, Al Horford is being offered by Oklahoma, OKC. He's going to be traded, and it looks like talks are going to go to San Antonio. He's going to be shopped to San Antonio, or possibly back to Boston. And Al Horford has a huge contract, so I don't know. And the Celtics could definitely take it, and San Antonio could take it. So, Tal, I'm gonna throw this out to you and say, who do you think is going to bite first? You think San Antonio's going to bite because they really need to hit, or you think the Celtics going to bite because they got the trade accepted?
San Antonio all day. That right there, my vision just 100% fit San Antonio. Damn, they could use him. That changes because they turned it around this year. I don't know if everybody's paying attention. The Spurs have turned it all the way around this year. You add Al Horford to that, bro. Now you're talking gumbo, B. Now you're talking seafood gumbo with the shrimps, the crawfish. Oh man. Oh, I'm getting hungry thinking about it. Yeah. Oh yeah. Spurs.
All right, so today we had a food analogy, huh? Tal? Food analogy. All right.
Because I ain't eat yet. That's why.
Oh, okay. All right, Big. What you think, man? Would you hear that Al Horford is being shot by OKC to Boston and to San Antonio? What you think?
I think Al Horford would be a help to either one of those organizations. I know he was beloved in Boston. The thing is that we don't know if Danny Ainge will take on that contract. I mean, he's admitted to making some mistakes previously, so I don't know whether he be willing to bite the bullet and take that on. But Al Horford is what they call a consummate professional, and that he would work in either organization because he's just that dude. It's like he's like the first in, the last out. He plays hell of a defense, which Pop would love. He's not on this level, but when I think of an Al Horford type player, he puts me in mind of a player like Tim Duncan, and I think that I'm not saying that Al Horford is as great a player as Tim Duncan. I'm saying that mindset and his work ethic reminds me of a Tim Duncan, and I think that he would do great on either team, especially in San Antonio with Popovich.
All right, Rodney Perry, man, what's your thoughts when you hear this, man?
I would like to see him back in the Celtic uniform. I think he would give them that anchor, that locker room leadership, and I think they're kind of missing that. They're a young squad, and who is their go-to guy? Who is their guy that says, "Hold on, fellas, let's calm it down, let's take it to another level"? I think he could give them that, and that's worth paying for, I believe.
Yeah, Rodney Perry, I would say that I agree with you because Danny Ainge came on record and said he regrets not matching the contract that the Sixers did, and when the Sixers snatched him up, because it changed the whole Celtics trajectory, like it changed their whole team. Let me move on and just say this, and I'm gonna start with you. I think we got time for maybe one or two more questions. I'm gonna say this to you, talent man. Terry Rozier is being shopped right now, and he's being shopped to the Clippers. Terry Rozier plays for North Carolina, so it's interesting right now. Terry Rozier is a much better player than the Celtics thought he was. He's doing work down there in North Carolina. And Michael Jordan's very happy with him, with the Charlotte, very happy with him. Can you see him literally in a Clippers uniform and anchoring that team down and helping them steer them through the playoff?
I just find it weird that somebody's shopping somebody and say, I'm very happy with him. I'm trying to get him out of here, but I'm so happy with this guy. His bags are packed. We love him in this town. His bag's already at the airport. But we just trying that's crazy oxymoron. Let me tell you something. I like him. I liked him in the Celtics uniform. I liked him since he's been balling. I can see it. You put him on the Sixers, now you're stacking the deck even further, man. If I'm him, in this day and time, I'm getting the hell out of North Carolina.
Yeah, okay. I agree with you on that
one. Right now, if I'm on North Carolina, I don't care if my name is Ben and Jerry. I'm trying to find a team. Because this team is finding themselves. They're doing a lot of that. So I think every basketball player in a perfect world, they want to stay as long as they can in a good place. That's not really a good place. So I know he still wouldn't mind finding a good place. You talk about the Sixers, The Sixers is a good place. They got their head on straight. They got a great coach. They got a nice lineup. They can be a little deeper.
But talent, I said the Clippers, not the Sixers.
Oh, excuse me, I keep saying Sixers. The Clippers. I mean, they can be a little deeper because as we know, last year's playoffs, I think their loss was because of not being as deep. I think that once you got to those games in the playoffs with Kawhi and Paul George, was having his mental issues and everything, there was no more guys.
Right. Rodney Perry, I'm gonna throw it to you and then throw it to Fig. Rodney Perry, what's your thoughts?
I mean, we know this. Every NBA player wants a shot at the chip, and you couldn't be further away from the chip in Charlotte.
Right.
And if you can get closer to that, you do. And so that's the thinking behind it. And if he wants to get closer, it don't make sense not to get out of Charlotte. I mean, Mike, I love you, but I gotta go.
I'm trying to tell you, Fig. I think Terry Rozier is close to a chip, like Rodney Perry said. What you think?
I like Terry Rozier when he was in Boston, man. He reminded me of Jaylen Brown. And if he goes to the Clippers, that would be somebody that you could have put on. They could have used him last year when Murray was going off because, Rozier's a dog, man, and he's a defender, man. I mean, he plays hard-nosed, one-on-one defense. Like, he'll get in your face and, that's that dog. He got that dog in him, that defensive dog. They could have used him to shut down Murray when Murray was going off on the Clippers last year. That was a player that they could have used. So I definitely see him thriving in LA with the Clippers.
I bet $1,000 Danny Ainge is really upset he got Kemba Walker when he had Terry Rozier. I bet $1,000 on that. You know what I mean? But what do I know? You know what I mean? Last question, man, and I'm going to leave this open-ended because we don't have a lot of time. Mid-season MVP. Is anybody changed their thought now that everybody's come back? Talent, your mid-season MVP. I'm not even gonna put no names up there for you. I'm gonna just throw it out there, and you tell me who your mid-season MVP is, and I'll tell you who I think it should be from game 1 to now. Mid-season MVP. Talent, who's your mid-season MVP?
I'm probably gonna go with I know y'all hate on the Bradley Beal thing, man. So I'm gonna go right now on the limb and say Bradley Beal again.
Okay. Rodney Perry, who's your mid-season MVP?
Not Bradley Beal. I mean, it's a lot of guys been playing great. Maybe James Harden.
Okay. All right. Fig, who is your mid-season MVP?
Man, I'm looking at the standings now, man, and due to the way that they were last year, and the way that they're playing this year, I got to give it to Joel Embiid because they had their first place in the Eastern Conference, and from where they were last year, they're leaps and bounds better. And Joel Embiid has just been like a dominant force.
My midseason MVP is just like Fig's Joel Embiid, and my co-season MVP has to be Doc Rivers for getting him up to that level because Joel Embiid was not playing that. What, can Doc Rivers get a co-MVP? I don't even know if he can.
No.
Okay. Well, I just want to throw it out there.
Hey Frank, if Bradley Beal can't get in this conversation, what the hell make you think?
That's hilarious. All right, Joe.
Matter of fact, mentioning that is sexual harassment.
All right, Joe. That's the show. That's my man Talent. That's Rodney Perry. Talent. Tell everybody out there how they can follow you, bro.
Hey, everybody, follow me. My Twitter is at It's Just Comedy. My Facebook is King Talent Harris, and of course, my Instagram, Talent the Comedian, every day on this thing.
All right, Rodney Perry, who did not pick LeBron. Who is your? How do they follow you? I almost said, who's your MVP?
I'm easy to follow, man. I'm headed up to Subway, grab a sandwich. So you probably, if you want to follow me, I'll be over there.
Big.
As always, baby, bow at Comedian Fig, all social media platforms, Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. Box Seats, baby, the best damn sports show on TV. I don't care what nobody say. Even your mom.
This is a show called The Box Seat. Also on the Humor Mill channel. The Humor Mill channel is downloadable on all platforms, on all apps. Call your cable service provider, get you to add them. Tomorrow, looks like we're going to have a special guest. I fill y'all in. Y'all see all the news about it later on today. I'm Frank. That's Fig. That's Talents. Rodney Perry. Thanks for joining the show. See y'all tomorrow, 1 o'clock.